Tomorrow, you are holding a high-dollar fundraiser hosted by Andrew Goldman, a fossil fuel executive.
During the CNN climate town hall, Joe Biden lied so hard that his eye bled. Now, I'm kind of joking. Joe Biden did lie. Joe Biden's eye did bleed. But I'm under the assumption here that they're not connected. I'm also under the assumption that the bleeding is not a serious condition, or else I wouldn't be joking about it. But with that said, Joe Biden's not well. I'm going to have a separate video on Joe Biden's just constant rambling throughout this entire climate town hall. But in this video, I want to focus on this lie because Joe Biden was asked about a fundraiser that he is going to the next day after this climate town hall with an oil executive. So watch this exchange and I'll break down exactly why Joe Biden is lying.
I want to introduce you to Isaac Larkin. He's a PhD candidate at Northwestern University studying synthetic biology, which honestly, I don't really even know what that is. I just have to throw that out.
It's awesome.
He currently supports Senator Bernie Sanders, but you could change his mind tonight. Who knows, Isaac?
It doesn't look like I do that.
Senator Biden, I'm 27 years old. Half of all greenhouse gas emissions ever generated by the entire history of human civilization have been released in my lifetime. This despite the now well-documented fact that 40 years ago, scientists at Exxon and Shell knew and reported to their bosses that burning fossil fuels was warming the planet and would destabilize the climate. Fossil fuel corporations, their executives, their trade and industry organizations, and their think tank front groups have waged a decades-long campaign of lying to the public about the science, and it has brought us to a crisis that threatens the entire human race. Now, I know that you signed the No Fossil Fuel Money pledge, but I have to ask, how can we trust you to hold these corporations and executives accountable for their crimes against humanity when we know that tomorrow you are holding a high-dollar fundraiser hosted by Andrew Goldman, a fossil fuel executive?
He's not a fossil fuel executive, I'm told. He is not a fossil fuel executive.
All right. First of all, this question, fantastic. It is so rare to hear a question like this on a cable news network, a question about big money donors and their impact on politicians. It almost never comes up during these town halls or debates, so I'm glad we saw that. But Joe Biden here lied straight up. Maybe he was given bad information by his campaign, but regardless, he's wrong. So here's a story from The Intercept. After a climate forum, Biden heads to a fundraiser co-hosted by a fossil fuel executive. Andrew Goldman, a co-founder of Western LNG, a natural gas production company based in Houston, Texas, is co-hosting one of two high-dollar fundraisers Biden will attend in New York on Thursday. Western's major project is a floating production facility off the northern coast of British Columbia designed to provide Canadian gas to markets in Northeast Asia. And if you go to the Western LNG website, you will see Andrew Goldman right there on the page as the co-founder. So it's a lie. Joe Biden is going to a big dollar fundraiser hosted by an oil executive right after a climate town hall. Look, this is why you can't trust these politicians. I mean, again, most politicians on these issues. When it comes to Joe Biden, you absolutely cannot trust him. His connection to massive donors, be it fossil fuel companies or credit card companies, he's from Delaware. I mean, he has a whole career standing up for the wealthy and well-connected. That's who Joe Biden is. And around the time of this lie is when Joe Biden's eye appeared to be bleeding. Now, this is a gruesome look. And apparently, according to NBC, this is what is a subconjunctival hemorrhage. Blood in Joe Biden's eye causes concern. The former vice president was taking part in a televised town hall when the outward corner of his left eye seemed to fill with blood. Now, according to this story, this could be caused by sneezing, coughs, strains while using the toilet. I hope that wasn't the case, or otherwise experiencing a spike in blood pressure. It could be rubbing your eye too hard, wearing contact lenses, high blood pressure, or taking blood thinners, has a viral infection, has undergone eye surgery or suffered an eye injury, or has diabetes. Now, it's likely nothing. I assume we would hear more about it if it was something serious, but it's just another example of how Joe Biden is not fit for this campaign. I mean, you see the polls and it shows, oh, well, Joe Biden is electable. If you put Joe Biden up against Donald Trump, it shows Joe Biden winning. It also shows that with Bernie Sanders, with the same numbers, and in swing states. So this idea that, oh, only Joe Biden can defeat Donald Trump, not true at all. And if anything, it's a mirror image of how the polls looked with Hillary Clinton against Donald Trump back in 2016 before she ultimately lost. Because much like Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton does not bring out the base to vote. Joe Biden does not excite the Democratic base. So the polls may look good right now, but in actuality, when it comes down to it, I think Joe Biden is maybe the weakest candidate in the race when it comes to defeating Donald Trump because of his inability to bring out the base. Joe Biden has a horrible track record. Joe Biden is clearly not in good shape, and that's going to become more evident as we see him on stage more and more and more. And I mean, if it ever gets to a point where he has to go up against Donald Trump, look, we all understand Donald Trump is in the worst shape, mentally and physically, but his base doesn't care. You can complain about it, you can scream about it, but Trump's base does not care. They will come out and vote for him. When it comes to the Democratic Party base, they do care. So if Joe Biden is not in good condition, there's a very good chance that people will stay home. So just, I mean, I feel like sometimes I'm just saying the most obvious things because this is all obvious to me. But then I look at the polling and I see Joe Biden still leading in most polls in the Democratic primary. I just don't get it. So you have to tell your friends and family. It's not just about the people that watch YouTube videos. You all know all this stuff already. But the people that are not actively engaged in what is going on, the people that maybe only get their information from television, you have to inform them. You have to show them, whether it's Biden's record, whether it's just his phony electability, whatever it is, his connection to big donors. Joe Biden is such a weak candidate. And I hope people are waking up to it. We are beginning to see him drop in the polls. I did a recent story. He dropped 13 points in one poll with Bernie Sanders and Warren taking first place. So I think that's kind of foreshadowing what is coming. But you have to help get it there. You have to inform your friends and family that still, for some reason, support Joe Biden. Show them who this man really is.